you said something in an interview that I don't even know if you knew but I knew. They were asking you about, well, you're going to do black characters. You're going to be blackity black black and black. And that's what you're going to do. And you actually said, no, I want to do characters. I've known this young man since he had the tank top and the cornrows.
And how long ago was that? How old?
10, 12, 15?
Something like that.
Wow, man.
Yeah, at least it's like over a decade for sure.
Over a decade.
Yeah. I was probably like in my late teens, like maybe
late teens. So it was like, that was a while.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one specific thing. When not even, I don't know if he remembers this, just when he came to LA, there was this thing called the basketball, what was it? The
NBA E-League. It was
the NBA E-League.
Yeah,
but it was really a league for people who weren't athletic, who were in movies, who wanted to look good, on the court. Because their girlfriends was coming and why, and then he shows up, and you understand why his name is Michael Jordan. And he did a move on some actor, and the actor, he did a move. The actor lost, and the actor ended up in the parking lot. And he was just killing everybody, and it was just amazing to watch. I think they complained about you. It was like, he's too athletic. This doesn't go with my narrative.
Yeah, I think the E-League was probably one of the first times we started to meet.
But just so, but you know what I'll say about you is that nothing has really changed. It's like you filled out, most definitely.
I was skinny when I got
you filled out.
Look
at you. Oh, that's what you did. That's what you did. I'm not gonna tell you. Hey.
Nah, it was one of the things. I guess coming from Jersey, moving to LA like most, trying to follow the dream, grind, hopefully become successful, as an actor and stuff like that. And you would find these little groups and cliques, of people that would hang out, and somehow I just kind of, finessed my way into on the court. I was like, all right, well, I know I can hoop, so it's like at least we can figure this out.
And it was, and the girls was, who's the girl? Which really made them want to kick you out the league.
But Jamie was one of the first people that I met in Los Angeles that really kind of took me under his wing and gave advice and he saw what I was trying to do, and he wanted to protect me from some of the pitfalls and obstacles that that are out in LA, and you always want to make sure.
Because living in LA is an interesting thing, because it is a place of plastic, what I feel, but there's also a place where artists go, and I felt like seeing you, there was more to you than just, I think, just surface. Now, I don't know what I or any of my homies were reading, but there was a special quality about you that was like, it's interesting. And even everything that we watched you do, there was a certain type of, it's weird to say this, the it thing or the integrity or if it was a younger verb, this wasn't around. That the swag, I'll say this: the ingredients of what it is in being a movie star, along with the type of material that you're about to get into as an actor. Because I do think that there are two sides. I think there's celebrity and then there's the actor. But you gave me the energy that you wanted both. That you wanted whatever you were doing to be.
I just wanted to compete.
I'm gonna tell you, you wanted to compete, and here was the thing. It was interesting to take the competition, but also you said something in an interview that I don't even know if you knew but I knew. They were asking you about, well, you're gonna do black characters. You're gonna be blackity black black and black. And that's what you're gonna do. And you actually said, no, I want to do characters. I don't want to be in. You remember that?
Yeah.
What was it? What
I
was
can't
that
remember the interview, but it was kind of like the way I thought about it was just like, there's always a bias somewhere. It's human
Right.
nature, right? So even with
Right.
writers, there's not a lot of, successful black writers that are writing,
Right.
like for the, big movies and,
Right.
at the time,
Yeah.
it wasn't really that, there wasn't enough material out
Yeah.
there being written for us that wasn't very stereotypical.
Right.
I've been blessed with my career to play some stereotypical characters that lasted the test of time, that just was bigger than that box that they tried to put me in.
Right.
The Wire, Friday Night Lights, stuff like that. The characters.
And talk about the Wire. Talk about the Wire, because I believe in the interview you did reference to that. But talk about the significance of the Wire.
I mean, the Wire for me was at a time where, Wallace, corner boy, but he was the heartbeat of season 1. He was the heartbeat of that show. Everybody loved him. So when he died, it hurt everyone.
It hurt
David
all of
Simon,
us.
he knocked on the trailer door, but you never want to get that, that knock on the trailer because you know what I'm saying? When you get scripts, when you're on a show with nobody's safe, you always just trying to skim through it to make sure your name's.
So I died today.
Exactly. So Wallace was one of those characters that everybody watched. Everybody in Hollywood watched. All the right people, the casting directors, the producers, what I'm saying, the studio execs, so when the right people that are going to eventually see your name come across their desk, when it comes to different jobs and roles, it helps that they're a fan of certain things.
Right.
And Wallace was one of those characters that really did that for me. But my mentality behind it all was like, I want to play the roles that, Brad Pitt's one of my favorite actors. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of my favorite. Tom Hanks, Giovanni Ribisi, what I'm saying? Edward Norton, these are cats that I really enjoy. You, Will, Denzel, obviously, what I'm saying, the Mount Rushmore of actors. But I would hate seeing about being in an audition, for the role of the year.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's not one of the stereotypical, characters. Yeah. And you would see everybody from ages 40 down to 17 going out for this one role.
Right.
And then everybody sitting in, the audition room looking at each other like, not afraid to speak. It's like this whole pitted tension. Yeah. And my way around that was just like, look, man, I want to play roles that are people. Of course, me, with the skin that I have, the person that I am, stepping into that character, I'm going to make it inherently black. That's what it's going to be. So I told my agents and everybody, look, I want to go out for every role that's written for, like the Caucasian man. I want those roles, because when I take that role, I'm going to make it me,
Right.
But it's just people. It's just characters.
And why did you feel, I guess I'm saying, I understand that, but what gave you that edge? What made you think that way? Did you just see all this clutter and you just said, I don't want to be in that box?
It was just one of those things of like, how do you reverse engineering the problem?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it was, I started thinking back, like, why I never saw a lot of your generation at each other's premieres.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never seen this person at that person's premiere or that person at that person. Like, damn, why is that? You know what I mean? Like, what's the subtext to that?
Like, why aren't they supporting, or why isn't?
And if they are, why isn't it? Why can't I see that? You know what I'm saying? So, and then I started thinking about my own circumstances with other actors that are my generation. And you see them out, and people won't speak. They won't say what's up, because it made it. At the time, it was a competition, and I couldn't be friendly with my competition. Oh, he got that role that I wanted, and that. So it was a subject. So I was like, man, if there's more material out there for all of us, that's the outside of that one project, that one role a year, which has really started to spark the production company, the desire to create material, create content. Then that wouldn't be an issue, and I enjoy. Seeing somebody's strengths, and trying to like help them succeed and get the things they want.
And Michael, it's tough to look at you coming in all good looking. That starts a lot of cantankerousness. We even talked about that. I even told you about that.
Yeah,
I said you're so nice, which is rare. Because to be this high in your career, a little bit of, most people get a little asshole sprinkled on that a little bit. Some people have a little pocket of asshole and they sprinkle it on themselves once they ascend. They start talking through people. You don't do that, which makes people even, maybe it makes it even tougher that you are nice, but I tell you what, the fact that you have that way of thinking, of that you want to to relieve that tension is amazing. And
I feel like it's room, man. I just feel like it's room. You know, like.
But you understand that, though.
Yeah,
you understand that.
It's room.
That when, and I would say this, I would tell this to you. I said, hey, keep moving. Yeah. Don't worry about all of those things and all of those people and all those things that are trying to get you distracted, because you got something special. And I say, even coming on with Just Mercy, but going back to like your narrative in Fruitville Station, is that something that you? Because now we're looking back, but is that something that when you took that type of movie, was that on purpose? Was meaning like a narrative for us, for our culture, for Black?
Yeah, that was my first real intentional move where I had a choice. Right. Because people think because you're an actor, you know all these roles and that you're doing that. I had 10 choices and I decided to do that one. So that's the one I booked. so that's the one I did. Right. But I think that was the first one that I really.
And Ryan Coogler.
And that was beyond above me. You know what I'm saying? That's the universe putting people together the way it just worked out, because Ryan just so happened to be coming, fresh out of USC Film School. His it's a kind of senior project. You know what I'm saying? This script that he wrote with me in mind that I didn't know at the time. I was coming back from South Africa. I was finished shooting this movie called Chronicle, and I was like, man, I want to do I was at a crossroad. I said I want to do an independent film. I want to do something that can show I can act. I want to know. I want to answer this question myself. I want to be able to be a leading man. You know what I'm saying? I want to know if that's where I fall, because I know you could be extremely talented and not open big movies. Right. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But I wanted to know where I stood, where I fell. But then also, Trayvon Martin shooting had happened a month prior before that. And I just remember being frustrated, going online at the time. It might have been on Black Planet. I don't know what it was, but it was something. I don't know, MySpace or something like that. It was something where I was like, I remember just writing posts, of how I felt as a Black man or whatever at the time, and deleting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I don't even know what to say. I can't say that. I was too angry. I said, I don't know how do I express myself? And I felt frustrated. So when Fruitville, it was called Fruitville at the time. When Fruitville came along, I read it and I was in tears, and I was like, man, this is it. This is my way to tell people how I'm feeling, to express myself, on hopefully, we never knew what the movie was going to be. It was like, shot it for $900,000 and some duct tape. Wow. It was we barely got it made, and I could see if I can carry a film. Right. So it checked off all the boxes. So I met Ryan. 20 minutes in the conversation, just talking with his brother, I was like, oh man, this is my guy. Like, if we would have went to school, if we would have grew up together, he would have been one of my closest friends. He would have been one of my best friends. So, we just saw a kinship in one another. Yeah. And he told me, like, look, Mike, I think you're wildly talented. Let's go show the world. Let's go do this. You know what I mean? Let's go tell this story. I think it's important. Let's get it. And we both was like, all right, let's go. Let's do it.
It was great, man. And
we did what we did.
And you know what? I tell you all the time, when I went and saw that movie, I took some guys with me, man, that are very, very tough. You know what I'm saying? Very macho. And then when we watch you capture us in that performance, I heard sniffles from these guys, and I know they didn't have a cold. I'm saying they were broken down with that performance. And you know what's interesting about you? And I'll say this. I think swag matches swag, because you and Ryan have this sort of coolness about you guys. Like, I think that was that really was the stars lining up.
Yeah, and to find a director who understood me, spoke my language, you know what I'm saying, same age, like the same things. Yeah. Our shorthand was incredible. We know we had limited time. We only had, the shooting, we only shot in 21 days, I want to say. It was a quick shoot, and we maximized every take, man. And I think our relationship and being able to speak to one another quickly and get it really lent itself to that. Right. And and he brought up, Creed before we even shot one frame. He was pitching Creed to MGM before we even started shooting day one of Fruitville Station. Yeah, and it was like, all right, come on, let's do it. You know what I mean? Wow. So it was the way things started to line up. And then right after Creed, Black Panther came into the mix.
Slow down, young man.
Slow
down. You just can't go in and right up to Creed and Black
Panther.
Man, you gotta. You can't go in and up to Creed and just Black, the biggest movie in the world. You can't do that. First of all, Creed, what I believe that did. I always looked to Love Jones as a template for me in my generation. Love Jones was like, wow, that's black love. That's universal love. Anybody that watched that. And Creed, I was like, oh my goodness. This is so amazing. The love that love story along with the iconic person that you're playing. Speak about that just for a second.
No, it was cool. It was like one of those things where, obviously you coming from the world of Rocky, that franchise, and Apollo Creed. I never transformed my body before. I wanted to, that was another challenge that I wanted to kind of like, I wanted to see. You look at, Sly and Carl Weathers, you know what I'm saying? They was, and they were chiseled.
Yeah,
man.
especially Carl. Yeah.
Carl, I was like,
come on, bro.
Like, what is this? Like, and I was like, man, that's impressive. I want to know if I can do that, So
you did it.
So we put the time in the gym.
And you got the body right.
I had to get.
You didn't do like me. Like I have a spank on right now. See, you didn't spank it out. See, this is all spank. Muscles. Spank.
Nah, it was one of those things we just kind of like wanted to. I knew what we were following. I knew we'd get all the comparisons to like what Rocky was, and we wanted to distinguish us as our own franchise and our own story. Ryan came up with that entire idea and pitched it, and we finally got everybody on board, and we went out and I think we executed it in a big way. While paying homage to what Sly built in the whole Rocky world, we wanted to distinguish. What it would be like, told through our lens, and that's what we wanted to do. So when Black Panther came along, that was, Killmonger was another narrative that we wanted to push, and that was a big one, and so our relationship is very unique, very special.
Go from Fruitville Station, a small movie that won our hearts, and then to go to the biggest movie in the world, and Black Panther playing Killmonger, but still having the same narratives that we could feed off of, and now. Just Mercy, I have to say this, I say it all the time. We are so appreciative of you in keeping that narrative alive.
They convicted an innocent man. I was always taught to fight for the people who need the help the most.
You don't know what it is down here. They ain't got to have no evidence.
How many of you all were with Walter that morning?
You ain't quitting, is you?
No, sir.
In front of and behind the camera, you were absolutely amazing. Talk about the birth of Just Mercy. How did that come about?
It was, my agent kind of brought this book to me and was like, this is something that, I want you to, read and, figure out if it's something you think, you could wrap your head around. And I was a little bit embarrassed once I started to find out more information about who Bryan Stevenson was, because I was like, why don't I know this guy? Like, why isn't he more of a household name? Why isn't, his work is incredible, and what he's doing is, exactly what is the remedy to my frustrations as a young black male dealing with all these issues of police brutality, of, mass incarceration, of, unfair citizens and death row and the whole situation. So it was, I got a chance to watch his TED Talk, listen to him speak. Got a chance to meet him a few times, and I was blown away. I was intimidated, actually, because, he's much more, I thought he was much better of a person than I was. So I was like, man, I got to get my life, I got to do better. I got to try harder, because this guy, dedicated his life to a cause, and he's continued to, beat that drum of justice. So, so that all happened, and met him, signed on to do it. I think he was filling me out to see if if I was worthy enough to play him.
I'm sure he was absolutely happy that Michael B. Jordan was playing him. Bryan Stevenson is a lawyer. Who
Bryan Stevenson is a lawyer who started the EJI Equal Justice Initiative, who who fights for wrongly accused and unfair sentenced black and brown people, for the poor, disfavored, people that have been condemned. He works to get them exonerated, and he fights for just the righting of a racially biased judicial system. So I had the honor of playing him. So anyway, got that together. Me and Destin Cretton, director of Short Term 12, a friend of Ryan's. We started cracking together a script. Trying to develop the stories out of this huge memoir with so many, it has so much material, and I'm trying to figure out how do we make this in a 2-hour film. So we started to pull stories and work on it over the next couple of years. This is about 3-4 years in the making, and then we started to get down to studios. Who's going to distribute this thing? Warner Brothers stepped up in a really big way. We started thinking about cast. The case of Walter McMillian, what the movie is kind of based around, and I had being in a position, as one of the producers, and somebody I felt I knew would knock it out of the park. Somebody at screen, his name was you, my mentor, big brother, somebody who I consider on the Mount Rushmore, one of the GOATs in the game, along with Brie Larson and Rob Morgan and O'Shea Jackson and Karen Kendrick and Tim Blake Nelson and many other talented cast that came together to help make this thing come about. The movie is I'm really proud of in a lot of ways. It was one of the first films. Under Warner Brothers, adopted the inclusion writer, along with my production company. We helped write the inclusion writer that all of Warner Media actually hires under. So all their companies under their umbrella uses our inclusion act as well. So everybody knew this story was very important, from the studio to the director, clearly, all the way down to the PAs. It was a production that was a very diverse crew, and everybody knew how important it was. So everybody, went the extra mile to make sure the story was right.
Well, I was absolutely honored and humbled to get that call to play this character, man. And I thank you again. It's like our personal conversation is basically, you've given me an opportunity to have my artistic integrity back and intact, to hear the story of this Walter McMillian person who was wrongly accused of in Alabama, coming from his job as a tree pulping, chopping down trees. He's wrongly accused of killing someone in a city that he'd never been in. And just so a matter of fact, they put him in jail and then put him on death row. I thought that, wow, I'm in with both feet on this, because it's so necessary. And even today, even though this was 30 years ago, 1986 or 87 when it was, those types of things are still going on. Like there was a case in Texas and so many other places. And I just thought that I was in with both feet. And then putting Walter McMillian, putting a skin on him, having a father who had been in the jail himself for $25 worth of illegal substance. I drew up on that. I remember when we had to shoot those scenes in the jail cell, on how I felt when they were putting cuffs on me. And I'm a person of perception. I don't like the perception of seeing anybody in jail, but I knew those. Just like getting the cuffs on really like put me in the mindset of like, wow, this person's life is put upside down. His family, everybody's affected, and then all of a sudden, an angel of a person, Bryan Stevenson, played by you. It was just magical. On set, it's such a necessary story, and I applaud you for bringing that to everybody.
No, I appreciate it. I think it's important. It's a movie that will take you through a range of emotions. And hopefully you end up feeling, walking out of the theater when you get finished watching it, that, you want to feel like you want to be a part of the solution. I want this to inspire conversation and to provoke thought and to, sometimes the criminal justice system is such a big issue that it almost paralyzes a person to not wanting to do anything, So it's like, what could I do to affect this big thing? So I'm just going to do nothing, and I think that's the wrong perspective to have. You can do something. voting is extremely important. To educate yourself to what prosecutors in your local community, who are they, who is what policies are being put in place. All the information is at your fingertips. You just got to do a little bit of inquiring about certain things, just so you can be knowledgeable, so you can learn how you vote can directly affect your circumstances and your environment. So there's a million things. You go to going to EJI.org. Bryan Stevenson is setting up this a lot of actionable things on his website that you can do if you feel some moved to do so. But I heard you say it a million times. The things that we go online about, the things that we talk about, all these issues, all these injustices that are happening, that we go on social media and we have these rants and we have these these revolutions and we're emotionally reacting.
Yes.
And then we get distracted, and 30 minutes later, we're on to the next thing or the next whatever it is. All the things that we're talking about, Bryan Stevenson is actively fighting every day, So, I think this is an all hands on deck, as you say. This is everybody needs to get involved and do whatever they can to see this movie. Outside of the movie, it's what it represents.
Yeah, but it makes it absolutely, people need to see it because it's special. And I want to jump into this one particular situation. When you embody Bryan Stevenson absolutely incredibly, but the scene in the courtroom, I talk about this all the time, that specifically because I think this is so important. The scene of you in the courtroom, this wonderful speech that I watched you craft, and it was so important. You've said in interviews that speech, you looked in the script and you went straight to that speech like this is the most important thing. And I absolutely agree. Talk about that.
Because as an actor, you look through a script and there's certain scenes that you just circle. That's like, okay, I can't wait to get to that one. It was a pivotal moment in the movie. It was a pivotal moment in Walter McMillian's case. Everything was kind of resting on this argument. And I wanted to get it right so bad. I think it's important because it really goes into the human condition. It really goes into how we're viewed. It goes into the perception that people have on, people of color, people that are, that look like us. And we can't be a fair system. We can't be a system that calls ourselves just if we treat people that are rich and guilty different than if you're poor and innocent.
Wow.
So Bryan Stevenson, is very good at being reserved, at being methodical, at being strategic. But in this one scene, you saw him kind of take all of his strategy and kind of just ball it into one, and ultimately, helped get Walter McMillian's case overturned. So
and that, to me, that speech was amazing. And I'm just going to tell you, as a fan watching you walk that speech down, you finished that speech, and what you didn't see behind you was the extras in the courtroom gave you a standing ovation. I went to congratulate you. It was like it's like as we say in church, you had the Holy Ghost, you had the Spirit, and you walked out. I texted you and told you that was an amazing performance, and the people in the fourth row are weeping. And then all of a sudden the movie is being seen by people for the first time in the biggest way at the Toronto Film Festival, which is, for those of you watching, that's like our Super Bowl in a sense. And I whispered to you, I said, hey man, you're gonna be surprised when people see this, on how they react. And we walked out on that stage after the movie had just been seen in Toronto, and when you walked out, they gave you a standing ovation. How'd that make you feel?
Yeah, humbled, man, honored, honestly. So much, we put so much into this movie, we put so much into making it, we know how important it was, but you never really know exactly how people are gonna react to it. So when you see people appreciate the work, and one of the biggest things I took away from that was the Q&A we had after the questions people were asking was, what could I do? Yeah. how do I make a difference? Where do I sign up? What's going on? I feel some type of way. And that confirmed that we had something that was going to make people think and make people start having conversations. So if, the voice of the people is very powerful. The people that spoken is a phrase goes back to, beginning of time. So we collectively get together about something that, and we want to see a change. We can demand it. So hopefully they feel passionate about the subject enough that they want to demand some type of change.
That's great. Well, I'm going to call you Santa Claus, brother, because you are giving us a gift. Everybody go out and see Just Mercy. I'm happy to be a part of it. In January,
Open up wide.
Open up wide. Just Mercy.
Pause.
Thank you. Pause.
Yeah, I had to. I had to. I'm still petty.